So the benefit to intersectional advocacy is that we collectively contribute to systematic change.
People embody multiple layers of identities.
A lot of people are not in the picture. They do not understand what is happening.
My name is Justin Chidozie. I am from Nigeria and I work with the Center for Health Education and Vulnerable Support, a youth-led LGBTQ organization working to strengthen sexual reproductive health and rights and social justice outcome for young queer people in Africa.
My name is Patience Ogolo Dixon. Without advocacy, we cannot achieve most of the things we want to achieve, especially around the change that we want. So inclusive advocacy is very, very important because for us to achieve that change, we need to advocate. A lot of people are not in the picture. They do not understand what is happening. And for them to come to the picture, we need to advocate to them. We need to create a lot of awareness. We need to sensitize the people, especially in the language that they understand. That way we'll be able to target the people we want to target, the government, the community, and of course, whoever cares to listen, so that at the end of the day, we are able to bring everybody on board.
Inclusion of persons with disabilities in their diversities around organizational programming, government policies, and laws brings about the promotion of intersectional values, which are the bedrock of transformative programming and transformative change in our society.
My name is Akudo Ogwaramba. I'm the Executive Director of Women's Health and Equal Rights Initiative, also known as WARE. At WARE, we work to promote and protect the rights and the well-being of lesbian, bisexual, and queer women in Nigeria.
Ensure that cases that we as queer people bring to your office or bring to the medical field, that you are going to be treated like every other person without stigma and discrimination.
We happily sit at the intersection of women's rights and LGBT rights, and we recognize that even though we work with LBQ women possess and have multiple intersecting identities. Today, you're a person with ability. Tomorrow, you could be a person with disability. It's important for all of us to lend our voices and join our hands to ensure that there are measures and systematic measures put in place to ensure that persons with disability, regardless of their sexual orientation and gender identity, have their rights. And also at WARE, what we do now, what we've done so far is to ensure that we hold needs assessments. We've done kind of like informative survey, but also focus group discussion to ascertain the needs of LGBTIQ persons with disability. It's important we do so that we don't anecdotally provide services without really meeting the needs of this part of our community. Also designed some interesting programs, and we are hoping that once we are able to secure funding, we'll be able to implement this, especially around empowerment and also around the strengthening of the voice, so that they will be able to join and be part of diverse movements in order for their rights to be actualized.
My name is Obioma Chukwuike. My pronouns are they, them. I'm an intersex activist and a human rights defender. So work around disability and intersex is very important. And why I say so is when intersex movement was starting, that was in the 1980s, it was more associated with disability and disorder. So you find out that intersex people were classified and categorized as people with disability. But that being said, there are also intersex people that have intersectionality with disability. Because of our body variations, there are people that, because of the past experiences they have had with intersex genital mutilation and other medical interventions when they were still young, you find out that those medical interventions then affect their body structure and also sometimes, create room for a form of disability.
So the benefit of cross movements, it cannot be overemphasized, because cross movements, there's this adage they say in Igbo.
And sometimes, because of also the body structure of an intersex person, there's a possibility that they might later on in the advanced stage of their life experience one form of disability or another. So Intersex Nigeria are very much aware of the importance of disability rights, incorporation and intersectionality that it has with intersex movement. Partnerships is very important. It helps to, bring out those key things that each movement don't see in the other movement, but are still in their movement. Because first, someone is a human being, they have an identity, and the identity keeps evolving. Tomorrow, for instance, an intersex person can become somebody with disability. How do we come together? And also, how do we channel a common energy to advocating a high-level platforms? And also, how do we draw resources as a collective? Because when we go as a collective, our voices are more amplified, people are able to understand better, and people are able to see the need for these challenges to be addressed. So I think intersectional work between queer, intersex, disability is very important, because there are queer people who have disability. In most past times, these are not always incorporated. They always feel like, you don't need to talk about, let's handle the queerness or the rights or the violations or injustice in terms of sexual orientation, gender identity, expression, and sex characteristics. But there are also life important intersections that limit their existence, that limit them becoming who they want to be. Because it's not just advocating for their right, but giving them that opportunity to be able to find themselves in different spaces and know that they are catered for and they are listened to.
In order for us to harmonize the work that we do in the LGBTIQ+ community and the OPD, it is important for us to create constant platform for conversation. We need to talk more, we need to develop strategies together, and it is also important for us to look for resources collectively to ensure that we create sustainable change with LGBT people, people with disability, and LGBT people with disability.